Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News. This is news and trivia night. Boy, I'm excited about this, except for I lost my trivia. So I'm going to have to read it to y'all. I'm not sure what happened. It didn't stick. Um, but student loans um, didn't pass today. The first case default with the individual decided unanimously they don't have the standing. So the case for individual borrowers don't have the standings, meaning they don't go anywhere on the merits of the case. Now get into the second case. I believe the Chief Justice John Roberts saying that the group of states uh, um, who sued appears they do have a standing. With in mind, we need to get to the guts of the case, 6-3. The chief is writing for the majority, a hint in which way we think that the case will go. At least one of these cases, the cases have merit. One of the cases tossed on standing. The other gets to the merit. The HEROES Act of what the Biden administration used to justify the forgiving part of the student's loan doesn't authorize the debt forgiveness plan. So again, it looks like this is written by the Chief Justice, and it looks like the other 6.3 Roberts, Alito, and Gorish, Kavanaugh, and Barrett files them. Kagan files the dissenting officials and Solomar and Jackson. This is the conclusion of what the court said. It has become disturbing feature to criticize the decisions of. Well, you know what? I'm going to stop right there. We know what their decision is, and we know the Democrats are very upset. Why? Because they want to keep pushing hate, race, and divide the country on racial issues. This was a great decision by the Supreme Court, and it will make Roberts uh, uh, go very far in his career. And a lot of people really don't understand it, and they're like, "What does this all mean?" Well, what it means is they're not going to get their way. Why do we have racial disparity in the country right now? Why do we uh, why do we have a separation? You got to be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everybody. You got to do what's right no matter who's looking. And it's amazing as far as it depends on you um, to live at peace with everyone. For your peace of mind, that's what the battle is. We're wrestling with rulers of the age of authorities. Neighbors, friends, families, 50% of them have changed since 2016. A split down the middle. There's an anger, a hatred, sitting there cursing each other. Like you can't lash back physically because you have to keep your mouth shut. What's going on? This is with 2016. You can lash back physically. You can keep your mouth shut. You don't have to pick up something either and beat them half to death, or pull out your pistol and shoot them because they're family. You don't retaliate verbally. You don't retaliate physically. You just walk away. And a lot of times you just walk away without, um, but what does that leave? Bitterness. We don't need any faulty. That's the right Tea parties, Republicans, Democrats, presidents. I have a new understanding for the thoughts of things more and more insane in our world. The thought of the poster that Churchill put out in the Second World War. What did he say? Keep calm and carry on. Keep calm and carry on. You know, if we don't listen to the forefathers, we're never going to be able to make it through what we're going through. And none of us are keeping calm. We're all freaking out. Have you been able to change someone in their minds in the years since 2016? Have you been able to change the minds of the protesters to the extreme, to the state, the school, the local politicians, even friends and family? So what do? All we can do is walk away. Not so easy, is it, folks? But can you stay calm? The scary part is, I think that they believe you lie too. It's just not in the news and the media and social programs. If we don't stick out the fight peacefully, they win, folks. Don't argue, just walk away. I think someone needed that out there. I got to let you guys think on this tonight because we have um, so many hatred of the protesters. Can you change them? Can you change the trannies in the libraries? Can you do something? You know, I thought of going in as Mother Goose, but it's just here. Does it change what happens across the country? Can we change anything that they're doing? No. And so many times now, I've talked to people on the phone that they've given up. No, we can't give up. We can walk away peacefully. And you know, I watched a video today and I thought, you know what, this is it. We if we can't walk away peacefully, they're only going to do it like January 6th, where they're going to blame the Republicans for all the stuff. Now I know you guys are watching and you see, oh, it's okay that the Democrats do things, but the Republicans do things and it's impeachment. And the Republicans sit there and say, okay, well, we got all this stuff, but we're going to hold a resolution. Why aren't we holding impeachments? Is it because we have bowed down to the radical liberals? When you look at with your state, your local, your state politicians, your local politicians, your judges, and all that, they're the ones making decisions for your state. And never, never, never do they show you that this is what's going on. Oh, and what's going on? Well, when you have those buying out your DAs, your prosecutors, your police departments. Now we don't have it here, but when we look at, let's say, Adams, I'm going to come in, I'm going to change it all. I'm going to get rid of crime. Isn't that what they all said? Lori Lightfoot even said that. And we got in, what happened? What happened? How do we change? It's on the vote. But when we do not have, uh, we don't have politicians at state level to the federal level that are looking at what the people want, they're going on their own ideas. It's so sad when I've called senators that I say, well, how come they're not going for this issue? Well, they have decided on their own and they're only going to push what they want. When did we vote in senators and congressmen that are voting only for what they want? I thought it was we the people. And this being the 4th of July weekend, we got to start thinking about we the people. When did we let them burn down our flag and tear down our statues? When was that okay? It never was. Did they arrest them? No. Why? Because they want this. Can we change their minds? Can we change the minds of family members that turned against us? No, we can't. They are in their own world. Isn't this what's written? Isn't all this written somewhere? Now, I could get religious on you and I could say exactly where it's written. But when we look at government and control and taxes, and we have a Bidenomics, yeah, Bidenomics is going to save us. And 80% of this country saying it doesn't work. If 80%, now get this, if 80% of the country says Bidenomics don't work, how can he be 50% in the polls? This is why I don't trust the polls anymore. And we have a president that's doing the same thing Hillary Clinton did, except for Hillary Clinton didn't get caught. She did in Africa. The Bidens did it in Ukraine. Statute of limitations? I don't think so. Now, the Biden family, when we look at what they've been doing, um, they're threatening whistleblowers. Why? What about all the files that were found? Do we even know? Well, we have his lawyers that went in and said, no, FBI, you can't come in. Why? He shouldn't have, as a senator, he shouldn't have had them files. And we know this. A senator should never have files. And when you look back into the history of Joe Biden, he was a racist. He didn't want thugs and he didn't want that kind in his neighborhood. Who did he hook up with? The top KKK individual. That was part of the Senate, folks. The Democrat Party. How many times have I shown you and uh, explained to you that they were the party of the KKK, 1920s? Who brought in the hooded KKK? Hundreds of them, like thousands of them. So when we look at the revelations of the IRS and say the Hunter Biden and Biden family never paid for Ukrainian money and taxes, shouldn't we believe it? But we have got the IRS we've got media, we got social media that want to say, he's a good guy. Wasn't about the man, it was the plan, remember? But now we're looking at the man with this administration, and we're saying, you know what, this is crooked. Where is it leading to? Where are we going with this? A World War III? Is this a dictatorship? Are we going to open our borders and let everybody in, and this will be a thoroughfare that World Economic Forum wants? Quite a few years ago, WEF said uh, Xi Jinping would be the leader of the one world order. Did we take heed to that? And I don't want to scare people, but tonight somebody needs this. Somebody needs this info, and I don't know why. Maybe all of you do. Maybe it's one of you do, and maybe this is something you'll need to share. But I want to let everyone know that, even with the support of the Supreme Court ruling tonight with, um, no, they're not going to do the student debt. We are looking at our Supreme Court um, under intense, um, uh, it's where they want to take them down. Who does? Democrats. Who wants to take our government down? The Democrats. Who wants to cause our economics to fail? The Democrats. Why? Why? And why do their voters agree with this? Well, when you ask them on the street, this isn't what they want. If they don't want it, and how many times if I explain, Karen, you're in here a lot, and so is Susan. How many times have I said that I've called and they said, oh, it doesn't matter what the voter wants, it's what the politician wants. Well, but that's not what they were voted in as. They were voted in for the people. And that's not what we're getting. And what does that lead to? Socialism. And I've said over and over and over again that socialism within 2 years leads to communism. Do we have a dictator? Now we're looking at the UK and Boris Johnson saying, you know what? Maybe at the next time that we have a sickness come through, we just need to leave the president uh, in their spots. That's a dictatorship. And now we're starting to see that the migrants that have fled these countries like Colombia, that have fled here, their own government is looking at dictatorship. And is that what we're leading to? Are we leading to the one world order that Bush talked about? The one world order that would all the way back into the 1930s, 40s, just after the um, um, the fall of our country, the Depression, the Great Depression. It was one world order, wasn't it? I don't want a one world order. I don't want to be the thoroughfare. I want I want our country back. I want I want Gilligan's Island, damn it. And there's reruns out there, and I don't watch them. I don't watch them. They're kind of dumb. I want my country back. I want my flag back. And tonight with um, I lost my trivia tonight, so I'm going to be reading them off. So Karen and all of you guys, I'll read it as much as I can, and I don't know. I don't know how I lost it. I went to go to look for it. I don't know if I didn't save it or what had happened. I've been having blinking lights, and I'm losing stuff that I shouldn't be losing on my computer. And so I don't know if it's power of rifts or, I'm losing power when I shouldn't be, and I don't notice it, but I lost my trivia. So with that, I'm going to go to the first trivia question. Let's see if y'all know this. The Liberty Bell is tapped 13 times on July 4th. For what? What's the reason for it? There's a tradition that was created in a way in honor of what? Let's see if y'all know. I'm gonna have to read. I'm gonna have to read. I had to go back and pull my trivia from a site that I copy from, and say, I'm just gonna read it to them. So the Liberty Bell is tapped 13 times on the 4th of July. The tradition was created as a way to honor what? And you know what? I think they still do it. I think they still do it. All right. Now, Mayor Eric Adams baited not only a plantation owner, um, he had like a town hall meeting, and Red State Toja uh, reported Thursday on how Mayor Eric Adams completely lost his cool at a community meeting in Washington Heights, hurling inflammatory comments as the elderly woman who dared to disagree with him. And what he said was pretty disgusting. First, if you're going to ask the question, don't point at me and don't be disrespectful. I'm the mayor of the city and treat me with respect. The whole thing about this, folks, was she was a family member of the Holocaust, and he was pushing racism. And he wanted to call her a racist, a white racist, after her family was assassinated and killed during World War II with Hitler. Now, the whole thing was is you would think he'd say, "Oops, I'm sorry." He didn't, and that's what's wrong with the Democrats right now. Is when they make the mistakes, they don't say, "Oops, I'm sorry." They go on when they try to cover it up. And more Democrats are waking up in the woke and starting to see that this isn't what they really want. Let's see. I'm going to go back. The Liberty Bell is tapped 13 times on July 14th. The tradition was created as a way to honor what? Come on now. William, wake up. Poke him, Karen. Poke him. Poke Mickey. And say he has to get this one. With the Hunter Biden, everybody's all on what is the settlement? What's the money? Money, 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 money. And when you look at the boys on the track and the corruption that happened here in Arkansas with Hillary Clinton. Oh, get this. They're saying if Biden don't run, they want her. Why? She's a killer. I mean, until she comes back to Arkansas and faces the consequences of some of the things that's happened here. Um, her and Bill, even Bill. But with Hunter Biden, with his child support, who cares? Isn't this a cover to really know what's going on with Joe Biden? That was my whole thing. Was it was Hunter, 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 Hunter. And it's like, wait a minute. What about is Joe Biden capable of being a president? Who cares what Hunter did? We're going to get him eventually. But is Joe Biden capable to be our president of the United States? I don't think so. And now that he's had doctors look at him, do you notice? Uh, what's really odd is we have the doctors going in and they're looking at him and they're ready to say something. It's like, oh, Hunter Biden and the laptops with the FBI. Let's not look at the what the doctors have to say about our president. All right. So the answer for this is um, the original 13 colonies. The original 13 colonies. All right. So um, what was the first state to make July 4th an official state holiday? Was it New England, D.C., or was it Massachusetts? So what is it? Was it Massachusetts, D.C., or New England? That was the first state to make July 4th the official state holiday. What happened to all them illegals on Martha Stewart Vineyard? Does anybody know? You always got to wonder when we send them to these different states, whether it's New York or if it's DC or California. You got to wonder. Most of them end up homeless. We knew that. We knew that. A few have been able to get jobs, but they're having to work two, three jobs to be able to make it. And most of what was at Martha's Vineyards has now been shipped out over all over the country. So they never did keep them. They kept a few, and they're getting very low paying jobs and struggling. Of course, they put up tent cities. They're not going to give them enough money to be able to make it or get visas. Why? If they wanted them here so bad, why aren't they making arrangements for them to become a citizen? Because they don't want them to be. And then, let's let them vote anyway. No, 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 no. So what the heck happened? It has been 9 months since the government of Florida, under direction of Governor DeSantis, chartered two flights from Texas that picked up quite a few. 48 of them is exactly. They were dropped off at Martha Vineyard and the liberal enclave that until they had firsthand the experience with the surge in migration, within days, most of the migrants were gone. They were headed for other parts of Massachusetts, like New York, California, D.C. Some even went to Washington. Places better equipped than the small islands to settle the people who had arrived with little or nothing. Now, I thought these were sanctuary cities. And the first time we pretty much heard about sanctuary cities was 2014-15. And it was okay. Nancy Pelosi was hugging all over MS-13s. So we know that happened. The thing is, folks, we can, and I always say it's not the man, it's the plan. Look at how many candidates now that we have for the Republican Party. Who's the right one to pick? No matter what, they're still going to have advisors. We're still going to have Mitch McConnell. We're still going to have McCarthy. Everybody's still in place until they replace them. We're still going to have the Biden administration, uh, Garland, and a few others until we replace them. How much damage can they do at the last minute? We found out that they changed the world in less than 2 years. What can they do in the next 2 or year and a half? What can they do to us? Hold on to your seats, I tell you, and don't think you're holding on to an iceberg, because you're not. And as long as you don't retaliate against these people. What's the point? You say, well, wait, if we don't stick up, then we're just as bad as they are. Well, wait a minute. If it's Antifa that want to throw Molotovs and uh, uh, bricks to burn down a building, what are we going to do to stop that? There's nothing we can do at this point. We're at a standstill. So 50% of this country thinks that they need to destroy the country. 50% says we love our Lord and we want to save our country and our flag and everything it stands for. Can we change them? No. I think we're beyond that, because this started in 2015. Now it's 2023, and none of them has changed their minds. What happened to them? What happened to them? All right. Um, the New England state made it official on July 3rd, 1781. So it would be New England. I don't know. Everybody was going after Massachusetts. Now, Massachusetts did, I can bring my cursor back over, was the first state to make July 4th the official state, but New England state made it official July 3rd, 1781. So if you said Massachusetts, you were right. Boy, isn't that twisted. Now, Coney Island hosts a famous dog eating contest every year. Is it with Nathan's or is it Oscar Mayer? They had Oscar Mayer and Nathan's run up to Coney Island and say, "We got the dogs." So Coney Island hosts a famous hot dog eating contest every year. Is it with Nathan's or is it with Oscar Mayer and the Wiener Mobile? All right. Boy, this is, you guys are going to have fun with this. You don't, what, Karen? If it's the Coney Island hosts a famous hot dog eating contest every year. Now, is the sponsor of it Nathan's or is it Oscar Mayer? I wish I were an Oscar Mayer wiener. That is what I truly ought to be. Because if I were an Oscar Mayer wiener, everyone would be in love with me. Uh, um, boy, you would think Oscar Mayer was the top dog. Now, and you know how many times you see Nathan's on the shelf? What happened? All right. I do want to move on. Um, uh, uh, you know, um, it's really hard when I see that we are siding with China. But when I seen that the Biden administration joining with the DOJ to go after DeSantis in Florida, that is, um, um, when did we ever side with and partner up with China in life? Now, I know, you look back in history, and even William, you might even chime in on this. You know, I knew that we had shook hands with China during Reagan, may have been before, but why are we now accepting China to come into our countries with police departments, 7 of them, when we know they are buying lands next to military installations? When we know that they have now set themselves up in Cuba with less than 100 miles of Florida that they could just easily shoot a missile? Are they surrounding us, or are they just sending us a warning? All right, so the answer is Nathan's. Nathan's Famous Corporation, best known restaurant in Coney Island. They are the ones that host. And get this, um, uh, the gentleman of the record for the year. Let's see if I can find it. I think he ate 67 hot dogs. Now, we have had, and here's the next question, folks. I don't know if anybody got that one. Um, um, there have been 27 different versions of the flag, um, over since the flag first came to be. How many um, stars and how many stripes? If you could only remember one, you'll get a point. But how many stars and how many stripes do we have on the American flag? There have been 27 different versions of the flag. But there's still, when it comes down to the one that we put our right hand over a heart, has what? How many stars, how many stripes? All right. Could Hillary Clinton make a comeback, folks? I mean, they're saying if Biden can't do it, they want Hillary. Why? She's a has been. She has got so much junk and so much corruption under her wings. I don't see how they could even possibly want her back in. That's an easy fail. Wasn't it a fail in 2016? And then when it came to Joe Biden, he won. I mean, why they would want to bring Hillary back, I don't know. And they mentioned Michelle too. Yeah, I think it's just to frustrate and ruffle the feathers of you guys. And I mentioned before, you got to have faith. You got to have it to where you realize that, you know what, if we put it in the hands of the right people, whatever happens, we know we're going to be good. We're going to be okay. And when we look at Israel, I know we didn't do a little bit on Israel last night, but with Israel, folks, we have got to think about what's going on with Israel and Iran. They've got Israel surrounded, kind of like the way we have our boats around China, and not all the way around, but just that in the waters. Now, the support was behind Vice President Harris, who this week found to be least popular second commandment of the metrics. If President Biden does not run for reelection, it would be preferred as a candidate of 2024. 22% of the polls respondents said they prefer to have Harris over somebody else if Biden decides not to run. But when they started seeing a joint of the parties, she's all for it. Yeah, because she's using social programs, the social issues to push into communists. And um, I still, I'm still looking at it, William, and maybe we might look into this as where Jinping was put in the head of UN within the next few years. Now, I agree with Red State. This is a little scary because we don't know what's up. You wake up every day and you say, now what? Now what? Is Ukraine still going to be mad and at war with Ukraine? Are we going to see Taiwan and how about China just set off a big bomb? We just don't know the time or the hour. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my page back. Um, um, we know Ukraine was a dark webbing equipment, military equipment, and other stuff. But now they have been caught in buying babies to sell for organs. Now I've heard 200, get this, 250 um, um, Hollywood elite, they say, has decided into mutilations. Who are they? I read through it and nobody on the list sounded really familiar except for Patrick Stewart. And I had to stop dead in my tracks and say, wait a minute, child mutilation, they're talking for 13 and above. So no wonder we're not hearing about Ukraine human trafficking of kids, or UK, or the United States, or South America, or China. But a Ukrainian trafficker was caught buying a baby to sell for organs. The man was detained with female occupants at the Ukraine Slovakia border. The man was arrested for an attempt of human trafficking and faces up to 15 years in prison. So, all right. So, I'm quiet because I'm trying to find my trivia page. I just lost. Okay, so the answer was Nathan's, folks. The answer was Nathan's. Boy, I tell you what, I lost my page for sure. Um, where does America declare independence from? In Britain. Um, when did? Okay. Um, and this is so easy, folks. If you can get the date, this is what they're asking for. When did America declare independence from Britain? And what is the date? That's easy one. Boy, I tell you, I got that. That was too easy for that one. Um, now the other one was the first American flag had what? Um, and it was what was the how many stars, how many stripes? Did anybody answer that one? I don't believe they did. Let me okay. So the answer was uh, 50 stars and 13 stripes for that one. The other one was the 4th of July, 1776. Um, the the um, the first person who was the first person to sign the Declaration of Independence, and there was a slogan that they made because he was the first to sign. So who was it? Um, uh, and I can't even give you the motto because if I give you the motto, then it would give you the name. And something that is very popular, and they like showing it on the 4th of July is like uh, uh, a TV movie. But now this guy was the first to sign the Declaration of Independence, but he was never president. So it was not a president. So think about your answer. Um, I think but quite a few have got it. Now I see a lot of them in there, and the answer is John Hancock. Because who do we say when you go to sign a signature? It's John Hancock. It's that signature. So if you said John Hancock, you had it right. Now, what is considered the most uh, favored American dessert all the way through America throughout since 1770s? This is considered the most favorite dessert in America. And what is it? All right. And we didn't see this, but it isn't just DC, it's Chicago, it's New York, it's LA, that they are starting to send warnings to parents because of students killed or kidnapped around the schools, the inner city schools. And the schools are saying, no, no, we're good, and nothing's happening, during school. But that's about as far as you could get when you start going to city council or even the mayor or anybody in charge. They're fighting themselves with a lie. And so, what do we do? The vouchers is good, but then how much will you get in for the vouchers? Get into these elite schools that are teaching um, not only the rules, but what you need to learn, but you just can't get up in class. Well, I think you guys got this tonight. Apple pie. Yes, it's apple pie. You know who? Now, tell me this, chat room. Do you know why it was apple pie? Did you know that in 1700 there was a young gentleman that, because of his orchard, not only did it make it feasible for people to do apple cider, but it became a big hard cider going into the 1900s. So, do you know who this guy is in my chat room? This is just, I found this out today. So, and he was very wealthy, but he always gave to the poor. And what he had the biggest apple orchard, and not only in Massachusetts, but they're saying even in Ohio. Karen, do you know who this is I'm talking about? Uh, they said he had everything, but he was always barefoot. Why? Because he always gave his shoes away. Let's see if my chat room knows that one. Uh, that's something, a little info. I look at so much every day to learn history, just on trying to get trivia for you guys. And it was like I seen this and I was like, these people aren't going to get this one. They're not going to get this one with the apples. So think apple, and it's not George. It's not George Washington. No, this is a gentleman that was part of folklore. All right. Um, they have now groups of teens. They said that, and this is something they suspected that would happen during the summer months. Groups of Chicago teens continue to wander around neighborhoods, destroying property and terrorizing people. They have done this for a long time. It's called gangs. Now it seems to be getting worse because now they have the cartel letting in thugs that are joining up with these groups that isn't just terrorism. This is terrorism to the extreme. So groups of Chicago teens continue to wander around neighborhoods, destroying property and terrorizing people. Where are you, Eric Adams? You see, that was my first question. And of course, yeah, he ran off and he said uh, that we need to worry more about racism than the crime in our streets. Time to get these guys out, folks. Don't vote for them. If you got to run two polls just to see, do it. I'm going to get in trouble for that one. I know it. Uh, William, are you cringing yet with some of the stuff I'm reading? Okay, let me finish up with this. Um, Okay, we've got Karen said Johnny Appleseed for the apples or for the orchards, and she's right. It was Johnny Appleseed. Now the star. Oh boy, I think I almost gave that one away. Uh, what was the national anthem that became more than 100 years old? Um, and this was a gentleman that it was created in 1814. He watched British troops take over Fort McHenry during World War uh, of the 1812. But the song didn't become a national anthem until more than 100 years later. Now it's a traditional national anthem to be played before the 4th of July shows. So, what is the song? And I almost gave it away. So, hopefully, y'all didn't hear the first part. So, um, um, so we had Karen and William on Johnny Appleseed. Let's see, Susan, did you get that one? Um, and not only that, this week, one thing that kind of went by and we didn't really hear about was that we have three, not just one committee. We got three committees looking into Joe Biden on this corruption, not only in China, but they have to take a big, hard look at uh, Biden's continued relationship with uh, China. And you know who's not barking is the UN or other countries. Why aren't other countries barking that, wait a minute, now the United States is siding with China? No one's saying that, but they all know. And when they have had the last few meetings, uh, I think it was the G7, where all the countries came together and they were sitting there at the round table in discussion. They were all looking at Biden and asking, what is the connection between you and China? And this is something that they're concerned about because we're fixing to go to war with China over Taiwan. Anybody get this one? Um, Susan, you didn't get this one? Okay, when we go to fold our flag, there's a certain way it's folded. And what shape is it folded into? So, what shape do we fold the American flag in that's out of respect? Now, I never knew this. I knew that we get it packaged up and we throw it on our pole, but I never realized there was a certain way we had to fold it up out of respect if we're going to store it. So, what shape is it? I know William's going to get this one. When I read this one, it had William answer all over it. So I think even William answered on it first. Um, so William, I think I knew this one. All right, let's go on. Boy, I wish I would have had um, my trivia this week. Um, In 1801, which president of the United States was the first to host the 4th of July celebration? He was the first. It's one of our forefathers. And let's see, I'm pretty much ending up. Um, uh, China has now moved in. This is what concerns me. China has now moved into Africa to be able to give them what they need, like food and power and housing, as long as they work for them. Uh, and William, this, I didn't see nothing with the Belt and Road Initiative. They were just going in and they were finding these resources, these mines. Uh, they could put them back on coal. They could put them into fossil fuels, and they could make Africa, they said, greater than the United States is what they're offering. So why wouldn't Africa turn this down? Uh, do and we know they lie, folks. I mean, it's like I said at the very beginning of the show. We know that people lie, but we don't have to lie with them. We can tell the truth and make sure that we put forth what's best for the people of in these third world countries like Haiti or Cuba or Africa. And my friend over there says he's doing okay, but if it was to fall, he would worry because he is considered a white man, even though he is helping orphans. All right. So did anybody get that answer? Okay. So the answer to that question was Thomas Jefferson. Ah. All right, folks. So let's see what we got. We um, uh, we have got Karen with 8, Susan with 7, William with 8, and we didn't see Linda of Illinois and Linda G in here tonight. So, but friends, if you play and you rewatch the show, be sure to put your comments down below because we can count them. And at the end of the show in the next few days, I go through and I look at your comments. And if you by chance have did the show and you went out, Karen or William, tonight, um, uh, William, you need a bigger zip ties. Is all I have to say. Yeah, bigger zip ties. Let me get this in here. I only type 3, 4 fingers at a time. All right, so here we go. Uh, Way to go, Karen and William, with 8 right. Congrats. So, William, get bigger zip ties next week. You need the giant size for Karen and bigger duct tape. Yeah. I know Karen. I talk to her a lot. All right, folks. This is a happy Friday, a happy 4th of July Friday, but we will be here on Monday. And, um, it's hot, folks. It's very hot. Um, and we're having heat. And like today, we had a heat index of 130 here, and it does affect me. Um, I tend my MS really acts up. Now, I'm not going to give you all the details on it, but it sure screws me up. And it is hot everywhere in the South. And what it does is it spawns tornadoes like what our own town had seen that we haven't seen in decades. Just be careful. Watch the weather. See if you got that thunder cell that's going to come through. But if not, go get some hot dogs. Get some great hot dogs. Whether you boil them, fry them, or you grill them, throw them in a bun and put your favorite stuff on it. There's so many ways you can fix a hot dog. And, get the French fries and throw a dog to the dog. You guys subscribe. Uh, hit the like button, the thumbs up, hit that bell. Ring my bell. And we'll be back on Monday with William and Justice for All. And I'm looking forward to it. And y'all have a wonderful weekend, a long extended weekend if you're taking it all the way to 4th of July. And we thank you for watching.